Welcome. My name is Eric Lamontagne. I am unbelievably excited to be here today. I'm joined by my colleagues Teal Wiegand and Marshall Estland, and together we are the Love Burlington team. So briefly, I'm going to walk you through an agenda here. We're going to talk to you about some context of the project, go over some of the problems we were presented with, the role we were asked to play. We'll hand it off to Teal at that point, who's going to go over our research and discovery process, and then on to Marshall to discuss our design functionality. And then we'll wrap up by going over some user testing that we did and the questions that we answered. Burlington, small yet nationally recognized for the wonderful shopping, dining, events, and experiences all created by our local businesses. The residents of Burlington are diverse and forward-thinking. The community is rich in arts and culture, and the small business community is the heart of the city. These local business owners create the spaces we gather in, the events we celebrate, and provide the gifts we give, while they foster community throughout. However, as everyone here is acutely aware, COVID-19 has caused significant disruption in our daily lives. Our small business community has not been immune to its effects. Through this unprecedented time, our locally owned small businesses need some extra love and attention. While Vermont continues to be one of the safest places in the country, business revenues are down, jobs have been lost, employees furloughed, inventory stagnant. This chart here does a great job of showing just how profound this impact has been. Where the green line on top is foot traffic in downtown Burlington in 2019, and the blue is 2020. Even after restrictions were lifted, downtown foot traffic has barely rebounded. These problems will only be amplified by the seasonal decline in visitors once this cold weather hits. When we first sat down with our partners at the City of Burlington, they initially identified several problems they would like us to solve. Among those, people didn't know which shops were open and what their hours were. People were unsure if shipping or curbside options were available. It was difficult for locals and tourists to discover Burlington stores and products. Merchants wanted to get more people to their existing e-commerce sites, and stores needed more advertising and promotion of their products. Our role in this was to work collaboratively with the City of Burlington to research and design an effective solution that would help solve these problems, while also serving as both an immediate response to help these desperate merchants, but also as a long-term resource to connect shoppers with the stores and products that make Burlington unique. The initial direction for this project, as proposed by the city, was an Amazon of Burlington concept. We ultimately did not end up going in this direction, more on that later, but this is what shaped our approach during the first part of the project. They proposed a one-stop shop where people from all over the country could connect with the stores and products they love, purchase them, and have them shipped directly to their door. The platform was envisioned as being highly community-focused, feature-rich with a large inventory, and presenting eye-catching, engaging visuals. Additionally, we were asked that our solution be integrated with the then soon-to-be launched, but now launched, Love Burlington site. Love Burlington was created, much thanks to the generosity of Mike Lannon and the Eternity team. I think a few of them are here today. Created to amplify the voices of local small businesses and help connect consumers to their stores, restaurants, and services. It's a directory-style site that highlights Burlington's unique neighborhoods and connects consumers with information on shopping, dining, and activities within the city. It's from this site that we drew most of our design styles. Also notable with this project was the number of stakeholders that we had to balance. On the merchant side, we had small store owners, many of whom did not have time to utilize additional platforms. We had store owners who were new Americans and may have a language barrier. Then we also had larger businesses and those with the capacity and desire to manage a more robust and detailed inventory. We also had different types of shoppers whose needs we needed to consider as well, such as local shoppers, tourists, and other visitors. And lastly, but certainly not least, We had to consider the people behind the scenes at the City of Burlington who would have to manage the site and the people using it. Our platform had to offer accessibility, value, ease of use, and functionality for all of these user types. We knew it was time to get to work, creating a site through which merchants and consumers could come together, find one another, and support local businesses. And with that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to Teal to talk about our research and discovery process.
Thanks, Eric. I'm just grabbing control of the screen. There we go, got it in order. So as we started our research into this initiative, we had to really empathize and learn about our users. Who are our users and what are their needs? We also had to understand that we have users from 3 different audiences, like Eric mentioned. First, we have shop merchants and local shop owners. For merchants, we had to ask the initial questions, will this initiative actually help merchants, or will it be too much to manage on top of an already busy life of running a business? Second, we had consumers, your next door neighbor or mom who would be using this site. Here we were asking, do consumers want this site? Is it relevant to people? And what sets this site apart from others like it? And our third audience was the City of Burlington, whom we were working with to build out this platform. For the city, we needed to ask, how affordable is this going to be? And is it even possible within the constraints of the current directory style site that was recently launched? Here we go. To learn more about our merchants and to begin to investigate these questions, we surveyed local merchants and performed interviews. Our multi-question survey, we discovered that the vast majority, 81% of merchants that we asked, preferred to only post a curated selection of their items versus a large selection or full inventory of their products to a local goods e-commerce site like this. When we asked for other feedback, this is a small sample of what we heard from over 20 responses that we gathered. I love that the city is thinking along these lines. For us, I think that the marketing aspect is more important than the selling platform. Additionally, I'm really looking forward to generating more visibility in online forums within the local community. During our merchant interviews, we heard input like, the marketing aspect could drive more people back to brick and mortar. We don't want to lose these people. We want to see locals shop us online and come pick up at our back door. From this, we made some prominent merchant discoveries. 87% of merchants already had an existing e-commerce site. They did not have the time to manage another e-commerce site on top of that. A site run by the city may not be the most helpful. And the most important discovery is that merchants are interested in posting featured items and increasing the exposure for their businesses. This set the stage for our capstone to follow the research and see if merchants and consumers felt the same. To learn more about consumers, we created another survey. We wanted to highlight 2 key findings from this multi-question survey. In the survey, we asked, on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being not important to 5 being extremely important, how important is it to you to be able to quickly find what you're looking for when using an e-commerce site? With over 80 responses, 48% of consumers said this feature is extremely important to them. Similarly, when we asked how important knowing the availability of local products through curbside pickup or delivery options, 49% of consumers also rated this as a 5, extremely important. During our consumer interviews, we heard input like, honestly, there are so many great local businesses around Burlington, even more here than many other places. Vermont is very much more about local goods. The discovery part is what's hard. From this, we made some vital consumer discoveries. Most people would be interested in using this less as a shopping site, but rather as a discovery site. Consumers want to find what Burlington has to offer and where they can find it. And consumers were interested in whether or not a store offered curbside or shipping and delivery options. From our research and findings, we started to define our users and construct a point of view based on our users' needs and insights. We utilized the survey results and referred to demographic data set provided by the city. We created user personas, as you see here, which are a fictitious yet realistic representation of our target users, who exhibit similar attitudes, goals, and behaviors in relation to our product. These human-like snapshots showcase relevant and meaningful commonalities. Understanding your user is the core principle in user-centered design. Utilizing user personas as a design tool can help to bridge knowing about our users and actively creating an excellent user experience. These first two user personas are of consumers who will use the Love Burlington site. A local like Kim, who's eco-minded, focused on keeping Vermont strong and supporting the shop local movement. Kim just needs help discovering all the great shops that Burlington has to offer. Or like Hunter, who we saw in the earlier slide, a tourist living in New York who misses the luxury of coming to Burlington for a weekend getaway, but wants to stay informed with the new stores and attractions in town. Next, we generated merchant personas, like Melody, who does not have a lot of experience with websites and has never done an e-commerce before. On the opposite end of the spectrum is a merchant like Brian, who already has a website for his store and is looking to build his social media presence and grow exposure for his business. From there, we started to synthesize the information and data that we collected and created an insight map, showing just a small section of it here. An insight map helps to give an overview of the extracted findings. For this initiative, that meant finding the intersection of shopper goals and business goals and discovering how might we fit the needs of all of our users. We generated how might we questions, like how might we help Burlington business owners weather the COVID economic storm? And how might we connect people who love to shop local with unique and creative Burlington merchants? This guided our minimum requirements list and gave insight into valuable aspects to look at within competitor sites. We looked at competitor sites like Amazon, Etsy, 7 Days, and Love Vermont. We did a SWOT analysis on each site, digging into the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that each site offers. To the right, you can see a SWOT on Etsy that we created. From this, we pulled key strengths and weaknesses from each site to utilize when ideating our own possible solution. We took our competitor analysis further and looked at key metrics based on what our initial data had indicated were the priority areas for consumers. The key principles were a local focus, trustworthiness of the site, ease of navigation, strength of branding behind the site, clear shop descriptions, ease of finding products related to a search, and the presence of consumer reviews. These were key for consumers when using an e-commerce site. From that data, this made for a shift in our project. We were originally presented this shoppable build out on the Love Burlington site as a wish list idea from the city to create the Amazon of Burlington. Certainly a big task to take on. What we discovered was that based on our user research, consumers and merchants did not want the Amazon of Burlington, but rather the Etsy of Burlington. Amazon is a large-scale, product-based, mass delivery e-commerce platform, while Etsy is a more curated, bespoke platform with a flair for crafty, unique gifts, an inherently more Burlington feel. With our new slogan of the Etsy of Burlington, we had to dive into a related question. How do we address the use of a shopping cart on an e-commerce platform? Would consumers still find value in a site that did not allow them to shop multiple merchants using a unified shopping cart? Building a fully shoppable e-commerce site with a unified shopping cart to shop from different stores all together came with great complications. Who's responsible for shipping products? Who regulates the division of taxes between stores? And could the city host, manage, and keep an e-commerce site and all of the payment information secure online? We were concerned how vital this aggregated shopping cart was to consumers, so we asked them. Most people, 81%, said that they would prefer a consolidated shopping cart, but 95% said that they would still use this site and be okay shopping merchants one by one. Knowing this, combined with our research, we knew that we would still be offering a useful service even without a singular aggregated shopping cart. Another challenge we had to take into account was the accessibility of our site for merchants. Because Burlington is so diverse, there's a disparity in tech ability and time availability from merchants. We needed to have a low barrier to entry for small business owners and new American businesses alike. We needed a solution that could offer both a high involvement option and a mostly autonomous option. Also a solution that the city themselves would not have to manage. That solution was Instagram. Instagram is the most used social media platform by both merchants and consumers. Instagram is free, easy to access, and easy to use. It's also available in many languages. During our merchant interviews, we asked what % of sales are online versus in-store. One merchant went on to say, 60% of my sales come from traffic I generate online, all from my Instagram. With the diversity and adaptability of Instagram, this would be a great way to help us meet our project goals. Instagram would allow for a widespread business advertisement and ultimately promote sales and revenue back to the businesses in need. We could utilize an Instagram API, an application programming interface, for merchants who didn't want to or couldn't spend the time uploading highlight items on an additional e-commerce platform. This would allow us to create a custom backend for merchants that wanted to more actively manage their presence on the Love Burlington site and post product cards with individual highlight items with product details. Brainstorming how we could tell the story and amplify the unique qualities of Burlington shops, regardless of how they input highlight products, we continue to build off the use of images. Thinking back to pre-COVID era, which kind of seems like forever ago now, we were used to seeing bustling streets and busy stores. Now our streets are a little more quiet. Our interactions with other people are far less, and we've grown to appreciate the comforts and small joys like window shopping. The struggle for consumers is knowing which businesses are open, and the struggle for merchants is that they need support to drive consumer traffic back to Burlington as we continue to reopen. Adopting this window shopping approach, we tried to find a way to bring that experience of walking down Church Street and enjoying the store displays right to the consumer's home. We discovered this image, a collage display of goods, reminiscent of Instagram and influenced from our research. Implementing this into our site, each shop could curate a display based around their highlighted products, an aesthetically pleasing arrangement that tells each shop's story from a browsable perspective. This collage display would promote merchant products and boost business advertisements right from the Love Burlington landing page. That idea found its way into our designs. So this is an accumulated view of our window shopping experience using this collage, framed by individual product and Instagram cards showing highlights from local stores. Marshall will tell you more about these cards and their use on our site.
Thank you, Teal. Here you can see our two types of product cards, our curated cards and our Instagram cards. These cards tie back to our two merchants, Melody and Brian, and allow for different levels of involvement from the merchants. Our curated card would require the merchant to create an account, log in, upload photos, add product details, as well as a URL to their existing e-commerce website. When these cards would be clicked on, they would send the user out to that product's detail page on that external e-commerce site, where they could then purchase the item. On the other hand, we have our Instagram cards, which would only require the permission to use their Instagram account, in which clicking on one of these cards would open up an Instagram post in a modal and allow the user to, follow, like, and share just like you would on Instagram. So this way we have the opportunity to both increase revenue to the businesses as well as increase their advertisement. And now I'm going to take you to our mobile prototype. Here we go, and walk you through this. So we didn't do a complete revision of the site. We focused on adding additional functionality. So you can currently see a lot of this on the current site right now if you go to loveburlington.org. Here you see the homepage, in which we kind of highlight local businesses, and particularly minority-owned ones. Down below here, again, you can see this window shopping experience that we've implemented. Again, with the Instagram cards linking out to Instagram and the product cards linking out to that external e-commerce platform. This collage in the middle also functions similarly to those product cards, in which you can click on the various items in the collage and then be linked out to that e-commerce site similarly. This allows us to implement this website in various phases, in particularly quickly getting out the Instagram as phase 1, which should be able to get out within the next couple months, providing quick relief to the economic crisis that COVID is currently providing. Then second phase would be adding in a login system that would allow the merchants to upload their product cards. And then the most involved one would be having the merchants create these collages and send them to us, as well as the URLs to link out to them. In particular, this middle collage would be very valuable to the merchants, as it provides a bit more of creative advertisement for them. And the merchants are encouraged to do it, as it provides a little bit more benefit to them than just doing the Instagram or the product cards. Now I'm going to take you to our shop directory page. Here on this page, the site lists out pretty much all of the businesses in the Burlington area and allows you to search and sort for various stores. Here in the middle, again, you see this window shopping experience. But in here, we also simulate the ability to kind of walk through Burlington as if you're walking down the street, looking at various storefronts. Again, continuing with our theme of exploration, we want to highlight the various neighborhoods of Burlington, as Burlington has a lot more to offer than just Church Street. Clicking on any of these will send you off to an individual page that has a lot more information about that neighborhood, as well as a complete listing of all of the stores, all of the restaurants, and all of the service industries in that neighborhood. Then below here, you can see the current functionality of the site, in which you can sort by various options to find various stores. So if you're worried about COVID and you're looking for a store that only does shipping or has curbside pickup, this is where you'd search for it. Again, you can also narrow it down by neighborhood or even minority-owned businesses. Clicking any of these stores will take you directly out to that store's individual shop page. Here you'll have a description of the store in greater detail. And then following our theme that we want to provide more traffic to those to the merchant's website, we have our call to action that links directly out to it. Then below, again, we kind of continue with the theme of having this pseudo e-commerce platform where the merchants are uploading all of their own images and different products. And again, you can link out, shop at their individual e-commerce store, and increasing their revenue, supporting locally owned businesses. With this, based off of our research, we found that the merchants are very busy and they don't want to invest, have a whole nother platform to heavily invest in. So what we've decided to do is limit the number of products that they can upload to 12. And we are hoping that this will increase participation as well as keep the site more up to date. Here below, you can see more of the functionality currently found on the site where you can, find the store, contact information, as well as the various store hours. And now I'm going to pass it back off to Eric, and he's going to bring us home.
Unmute. Excellent. Thank you, Marshall. So with this kind of work, it's often easy to overlook some of the details when you've been working with the same design day after day. And outside eyes are really great for offering a new perspective. So to ensure that we were creating the best product possible, we performed a heuristic evaluation as well as some user testing. Heuristics refers to a specific set of 10 guidelines by which we evaluate the usability of our site, including consistency of language, visibility of system status, preventing user errors, ease of use, among others. User testing puts our product in front of real stakeholders who are then asked to perform actions or answer questions. In our case, we performed 5-second tests where users are given 5 seconds to look at a page of a site. It's then taken down and they are then asked questions about what they remember. This is an excellent method to assess what first impressions users get when landing on a page. We also performed first click tests where users are given a scenario and asked where they would click first to complete the action. This process demonstrates how well the site communicates to the user, either through language or through immediately recognizable functionality and visual cues. The process did reveal some minor tweaks and a few unexpected user behaviors, which we took into account. Among the changes we made, we swapped out some confusing imagery, added clarification and consistency to some language, and adjusted white space to better delineate sections and to facilitate readability. Interestingly enough, one of the most significant changes that we incorporated into our design as a result of this process will actually be one of the simplest to implement. So when you go to the homepage of the current Love Burlington site, it features a carousel of hero images. We discovered through our research that the first image you see when coming to the page, the one that's on the top left here, was making such a significant first impression that it was actually overpowering the rest of the site. 85% of the people in this 5-second test thought that this page featuring the words "Dine Local" made this site primarily or exclusively about dining in Burlington. Most did not consider it a resource beyond this. When asked how they would find a product on the page, one person that we tested said that they probably would have just taken one quick look, seen that it was for finding restaurants, and then just headed over to Google. The solution, simple. We swapped out the first dining image with the second image in the carousel. This support local image that you see on the screen here. We found this immediately set a new tone to the page, communicating that it was about discovering local resources and not just about dining. Earlier on, Teal mentioned these how might we questions that we generated through our insights map. These included such questions as, how might we connect people who love to shop local with unique and creative Burlington merchants? How might we keep Burlington businesses front of mind? How might we let people know which stores offer curbside pickup and shipping? And of course, the ultimate question, how might we help Burlington business owners weather the COVID economic storm? Our answer? Love Burlington. Together with our partners at the City of Burlington, and with input from a diverse local merchants and consumers from around Vermont, New England, and the country, we took the strong foundation of the original Love Burlington site and expanded on it to create an accessible, research-driven solution for connecting merchants and shoppers. We used data and research to transform the initially pitched Amazon of Burlington concept, which we learned through our process would not best suit the needs of our stakeholders, into a window shopping Etsy of Burlington model, one through which merchants can highlight unique items, promote their stores, and tell their stories. Shoppers can discover local merchants, browse highlighted products, and get the store details they need to plan their shopping experience. Our design delivers on merchants' requests by giving them an engaging, interactive visual presence, while making it easy for shoppers to discover the types of items offered by that store and jump directly to their existing e-commerce and websites. It accounts for our diverse merchant stakeholder groups by being respectful of the varying levels of time and tech know-how of our business community. It allows for high investment, curated experience, or a nearly autonomous presence through connecting with Instagram. It's also designed for longevity. This is not just an immediate one-off response to our current situation, but one that cleanly integrates with the existing Love Burlington site and will serve the City of Burlington long after we have returned to normalcy. And above all else, it connects people who love to shop local with the wide varieties of opportunity available in our city, therefore helping drive revenue to our local stores. Before we wrap up, there's a few folks we'd like to recognize. For their support, input, and guidance, the team would like to thank our teachers and mentors at Burlington Code Academy, Rick Mechanic and Mateo Cohen, our partners at the City of Burlington, Cara Alancioi, Will Quibell, Adam Roof, and Julia Chalmers. Mike Lannon and the Eternity team was always there willing to share their input and offer feedback. And of course, all of those who participated in our surveys, interviews, and other research. As a team of 3 individuals, 2 of whom are lifetime Vermonters and who together can claim nearly 3 decades as Burlington community members, it has been so fun and fulfilling to work for a place that we call home, and an honor to play a part in helping our amazing Burlington businesses. And now we'll take your questions.